James Fowler, and I'm back with my third observation video. It is centered on our campus improvement plan that's going to be developed for the next school year. So I took the time out to gather some quantitative and qualitative data over two processes that we want to improve on for the next school year. One being our tardy policy. Chisholm Trail opened up with an administrative team that did not believe in tardies or counting student tardy. They had the philosophy that students will make it to class and they will be internally motivated to do so. So these kids are new to a strict tardy policy or even one that's been enforced at all. And what the particular policy is that if you're late to your class, there are tardy stations with the administrators set up around the campus. So the closest one to you, you go and you get a tardy pass and you go back to class, as well as your teacher counts you tardy on the roll online. As you get 3 tardies, you get lunch detention. 6, you get a parent phone call and longer lunch detention, as well as we move into ISS and some other discipline issues, concurrent with maybe skipping a class if you're just there late all the time. Our school safety is also something that we're working on. We have an officer on campus and 2 security personnel patrolling the campus. They are not certified officers, but we want to ensure that our students, our staff, our administration team, our parents, and our community know and feel that our students are safe on campus. So the survey and the questions are guided to pick the brains of different people on each level to see how they truly feel about the way we've implemented our new processes at Chisholm Trail. The safety part goes a lot with what's been shown much in social media and the dangers of gun violence and school shootings and false lockdown drills, fake prank calls to campuses to get them to go into lockdown drills or to cause a mass scare. We want to ensure everyone that our campus is a safe environment, and we want to continue to make it safer every year or really every semester. So we definitely want to combat the trend of, schools are not a safe place to be and become a place that feels home for not only our students, but our teachers and our community. The video also entails how the campus feels about student discipline. We tend to gather a lot of data on student behavior, whether it's tardies, absences, skipping, referrals, detentions, grades, low grades, etc. But rarely do we bring into the picture on how students themselves feel about how their classmates or the school is actually run pertaining to discipline. Like, how do they feel teachers handle discipline in classroom management? How do students feel administrators discipline students, or how do they feel that administrators handle discipline, etc. We really want to bring it full circle. We really want to have the entire campus community involved and begin to grow further and become the campus that can be completely collaborative and grow and become a place that definitely feels like home and definitely will allow everyone who was a part of the campus to have some ownership. We'll begin with me taking orally the survey that I've given to our staff and our student body. Some of the questions are difficult for me because I was not on campus last year, but I will draw from experience or draw from conversations rather with our administrative team and our teachers and our students who verbalize, whether it's in the office during an altercation or event or just throughout this survey, on how they felt about campus last year or the prior years till now. Our seniors are very vocal. They have, no problem with sharing. As you will see in the video, they're very blunt, they're very honest, which is good because that will allow us to roll out policies that will make it better and know how we truly psychologically affect our students with the decisions that we make. Then our students will have a chance, and then we will follow up with 2 staff members, one in athletics and the other in geography. Improvement plan is one of the reasons why we are conducting this research, but also early in the school year, we had a gunman call and threaten the school saying that he was going to shoot certain groups of people, to where we had to be in lockdown mode for quite a few times. And then once we began releasing students, they called back and said, this isn't over. we're going to continue threatening the school to actually shoot students. So throughout the end of the school day, we were in lockdown mode to where we had enough officers on campus and outside of campus policing the area to make sure it's safe for parents to come pick up students. And also, as mentioned before, there was no tardy policy when the school opened up, which is just 5 years ago. So we are transitioning into a new process, and we're always going to look at student discipline. It definitely has a lot to do with how a classroom is run and how effective education is. As with every campus, you want to review what you have done, what you have put in place, and as far as these same 10 questions that I've asked students and parents, we review them together as well using the raw data as the year rolls along. Beginning with comparing student discipline to last year, it seems to be a significant improvement in multiple facets. Obviously, it's become more strict on our campus with the tardy policy and some other things, but we would like to keep improving. That's why these interviews are being conducted, and we're gathering this more of a qualitative type information. Administration believes discipline is trending in the right direction. At the onset of the school, which was just 5 years ago, there was a lot of freedom students were giving, no tardy policy, not many referral students had a lot of freedom, which in turn have some good effects, but it also has some negative ones. When you try to discipline a kid, they feel entitled to not do certain things or not have to do certain things because when they first got here, all of these things were allowed and they didn't have any reins. And the new administration team is beginning to curtail behavior and trying to make it a more positive, safe, less bully-filled, less disrespectful, more of catering to the whole child, not just educating them, in putting well-oriented students into society, sending them to college, better behaved and more mature as far as discipline from our campus and the other campuses within the district. We seem to have a lot of the similar problems other than demographics. Those that tends to kind of determine the type of students you get, but it seems to be fairly consistent. Skipping class, not going to class on time, and those type of things are pretty much consistent throughout the district. We definitely will collaborate as well with other campuses to try and figure out, what can we do to continue to move student discipline in the correct direction, as well as collab with the middle schools because they are sending us those children, and the earlier we start, the better. Do we feel these students behave well? As I mentioned earlier, we believe it's getting better, and we believe we don't have a lot of significant discipline issues, like a lot of true dangers. We have the occasional fight, but for the most part, we do feel like our students behave decently, and we make it through the days pretty well. Do you think teachers have effective classroom management and to prevent discipline issues? I believe we have something to do and something that don't, which is with every campus. I think we definitely need to increase professional development on this issue, and not just for teachers who are struggling, but for all teachers, especially at the beginning of the year when we're first coming back. Some professional development over student discipline, classroom management, because engaged students tend to not misbehave. So ongoing, actually, professional development in that area definitely looks to be a trend that we may take. Does the administration handle discipline well? We feel it's handled fairly well, but there are some things that have become difficult, like students that have lunch detention, but they never show up for lunch, so you can't really catch them. Students always wander in the hallways. We believe that's improving as well. There's some things difficult to enforce with some of the new rules and new policies in place, but in general, when a student comes to the office, the totality of the situation is brought into the picture, and the discipline is individualized. So we think definitely there can be some improvement on being sticklers about certain processes, but definitely think that it is handled well, but we still have room to grow. Uh, Students are very safe on campus. There has only been maybe one serious issue since the campus has opened up. So students are safe. Response times are well. There is only one officer on campus, so just as far as if something did happen, you would definitely believe that more officers and more security on campus would definitely help. Never really can have too much of that, but uh, that doesn't mean they're unsafe now. It just means that there definitely could be a more safer feeling if there was more security on campus. We have felt threatened. Well, when the more serious student discipline issues come to the office, the administrators deal with them. So, at some point or not, I'm sure most of the administrators have been threatened by a kid. But as far as felt threatened, some yes, some no. But that's the nature of the role of the target policy, and does it affect discipline positively or negatively? Definitely, a good policy just needs to be supported strongly by every member of the of the campus. If everyone is a stickler, if everyone follows it to a T, then it works very well. It definitely gets students out the hallway. We're starting to see students run to class. We're starting to see students tell each other, "Hey man, I got to get to class. Can't be late." Some things that weren't happening on campus beforehand. So it definitely clears up the hallways some, which is where most discipline issues take place, especially while teachers are teaching and there's no one in the hallways watching and monitoring certain areas. Uh, the lunch hour is definitely a positive thing. There is definitely a decent amount of students that use it to do schoolwork, uh, use it to go to tutoring, use it to go read in the library. Those things are necessary, and also a lot of students that don't. But denying that opportunity is not the answer. The only other thing we could see is breaking it up, maybe having that 30-minute lunch and then 30 minutes at a different time of the day for the students to wind down before finishing class throughout the day. But we would never think of taking that away because of the amount of students that do use it positively. You do not want to take that from them. And any other thoughts on safety? It's pretty much covered already. Here following will be student interviews followed by teacher interviews. Rate from 1 to 5 the student discipline on this campus compared to last year.
So I would say it was like a 4 at the beginning of the year and like really good, and then in the middle and now it's like at a 2.
At 2.
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Because they've kind of like let loose and don't really care, it seems like, anymore.
Okay.
The student discipline on this campus compared to last year has definitely improved, because last year I think with the new principal, like, everybody wasn't adjusted yet, and then this year he really got into it and it's more strict.
I would rate the student discipline on this campus to be a 2.5
Why is that?
because a lot of students just don't care about anything. It's high school, so I mean, they just give up.
Discipline on campus this year, I think it's a lot more better compared to what it was last year. Just talking about authorities, so it has made a huge difference.
Okay, so on a 1 to 5, 5 being really good, 1 being really bad, what did you think? What would you rate?
Solid 3.
A 3. Okay.
The student discipline on this campus compared to last year, I would rate a 4 out of 5, just because it's improved so much and they've gotten a lot stricter.
Rate our student discipline compared to some other campuses that you know about. I'm sure you have friends in the district.
We're more strict here. I know that with like the bathroom code and all that. So yeah.
So do you think our students behave better than kids at other students, or you think
Yeah.
they're about the same? You think
Yeah.
Okay.
The student discipline on this campus compared to other campuses is definitely better. Like, our students have more discipline than other campuses. You see like a lot of bad things happening on other campuses on social media, and you don't really see that from our campus.
The rate for the student discipline compared to other campuses would probably be a 3 because Saginaw is their things are out of control. Boswell, they're always skipping, so I think we're kind of better than that.
The discipline on this campus, it's pretty good compared to the other ones in the district. It's Saginaw and Boswell. I think Chisholm is probably the most controlled out of all 3.
I believe we're more disciplined than Saginaw for sure, and somewhat Boswell. I feel like Boswell has a little bit better acting of kids than we do, but our discipline actions are handled well here.
Do you feel just in general, do students on this campus behave well? And you can answer yes or no. Give me a why.
For the most part, yeah. Upperclassmen, lowerclassmen don't know anything and want to be all that.
Okay.
I feel that the students behave here better because our APs, they know how to handle like our rowdiness, and they don't let a lot of stuff fly.
I believe the students behave well, mainly in class, but in the hallways they can be really childish.
I feel like overall the students do behave well, but it's up to every student to decide what they want to do. So, yeah.
The students who have the regular student mentality don't behave well. I feel as if they don't care about their schoolwork. My AP classes compared to my regular classes are 2 totally different atmospheres.
Do you think teachers have the classroom management skills to prevent discipline problems?
Most, yes.
Most, yes.
I think some teachers have the classroom management skills to prevent discipline problems, but I feel like a lot of teachers, they feel like they aren't in control of their class. Like a lot of female teachers that are like smaller, they don't have control over like bigger male students that like would want to fight in the class.
I believe, depending on the teachers, some of them do have the discipline, like to make something stop happening, I guess, and then other ones they just don't care.
I believe every teacher has their own ways on how to prevent discipline problems, so it's up to them to decide on what they want to do.
Okay, so do you believe for the majority of the campus that they do a good job at running their classroom so discipline problems don't happen, or do you think that's not the case? Now, I know you aren't in all the classes, but just the sense that you give.
From my point of view, I feel like they do
Okay.
a good job in preventing it.
Okay.
I believe some teachers have classroom management skills to prevent discipline problems, but some act with ignorance to other kids' childish behaviors, and so it just causes more distress in the classroom.
Okay. Do you believe the administration handles discipline well? Like when a
Yes.
kid gets a referral and they go down there, the consequences, that type of deal.
Yeah.
Which you may not know all of that, but
Yeah.
you probably have been down there.
No, I haven't.
I think that the administration does handle discipline well. They discipline the students that need to, like they should. Like nothing's like too hard, or they don't let a lot of stuff go.
It just depends on the administration who handles the discipline and what the consequence is. Like Rosander, he's kind of chill about it, but if you go to Miss Dye or Miss Ingram, they're more like harsh.
I feel like administration handles it well. They can talk to students about it and try to see what's going on, and it's overall pretty solid.
administration handles discipline well, and I feel they do as in the best needs of the school.
Are the students on campus safe?
Yes.
Okay.
I think that the students are somewhat safe on campus, but we only have one campus officer, and I feel like there should be more than one because you never know when something is going to happen.
The students, are the students safe on campus? I believe they are, because if they leave, that's just on them.
I feel like the students on campus are safe. I've never had any issues since our freshman year, so it's a pretty good campus.
I feel as if the students are safe on campus. I feel that we should have more security, especially patrolling our parking lots because we've had so many cars broken into and locker rooms.
Have you ever felt threatened?
No.
I have felt threatened, but I don't really want to explain why.
I've never felt threatened, but I'll be honest, I have threatened somebody, a lot of people. I feel really bad for that, so I think we should fix that.
You should fix that.
We should all fix that.
I've never felt threatened at the school, so yeah.
I've only felt threatened during our lockdown because I was in the office when it happened. So I was there when the calls came in and when they were calling the police, and I was shoved in a closet and could hear everything happening.
Give your thoughts on the tardy policy. The tardy policy. Do you think it affects discipline positively or negatively?
They don't really sweep anybody up anymore, and they ask if we need one, and we could just say no. So I feel like it's not really working.
Okay.
I think that the tardy policy is stupid because when we are late, sometimes we have to go across the campus to get a tardy slip, and then we end up more tardy than we originally would have been.
My thoughts on the tardy policy would be, I don't like it whatsoever. They need to get rid of it, but it's causing like less students to be tardy and stuff, so it's kind of
What don't you like about it?
like, I think it's after like 3 or 6 you get a lunch detention. I don't like that.
Well, yes, but you also just said that students behave better in the class than the classroom.
Yeah.
So if we let you be tardy with no consequence, then that's a lot more negative behavior.
Kind of, but like last year it wasn't so bad as it is this year compared to the rules.
Oh, okay.
The tardy policy, I don't like, but it has improved on students not getting late to class, so that's what, so that's a good thing.
I think the tardy policy is ridiculous because I am an office aide, and so the line in the front tends to get rather long, and it wastes more time for kids getting to the classroom where they need to be. I don't see why teachers can't just mark them tardy themselves.
Give your thoughts on the lunch hour. So, you know, like most campuses have 30, 25-minute lunches, we have a whole hour. And that's supposed to be because giving students a break in the middle of the day, let them recharge or let them study and go back. So do you think that affects discipline as far as giving students a break just to relax?
I think it's good for us because we get to like relax, like you said, and like refocus and get back together after a break.
On our lunch hour, I feel like it could go both ways. Some students do the right thing with their time and they do use it to study, and then other students take advantage of the time and they go off campus and they do things that would normally get them into trouble.
The lunch hour, I believe is negative because the whole hour kids can just leave, and if they want to show back up, they can. If not, then they really won't. So I think we should trim it down kind of.
I personally like my lunch hour because it gives me time to eat lunch and still get some work done if I'm behind on a class. So that's what I enjoy.
Okay.
I benefit from the 1 hour lunch period because I do most of my work because I'm in sports, and so I don't really have time to do homework at home, so I use that time for work.
Okay, so do you have any other thoughts on discipline or safety that you'd like to share?
No.
That's good.
I think that our discipline and safety here at the school is pretty moderate. Small improvements could be made.
I don't have any thoughts about discipline or safety because I just want to leave, and I'm not gonna care about when I leave what's gonna happen here.
I don't really have much to say about discipline and safety, just as long as it keeps improving and just keep it the way they have it.
The only thought I have on our safety would be to add a few more security guards to patrol our campus.
All right, so the first question says rate the students' discipline on campus compared to last year. I think it's probably improved since last year. If I have to rate it, I would say it's not perfect, but it's definitely an improvement.
So from a 1 to 5, 5 being good and 1 being terrible.
4.
4. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What types of things are different? That's what I asked.
Tardy policies, I think, are better. The way that the APs handle certain situations and support teachers,
Okay.
a little bit better.
Okay.
Question 2, rating the student discipline on campus compared to other campuses. So I've only been at 2 other campuses, and I'm gonna say that there's more discipline problems here, but I would say that they're getting handled efficiently enough. The student discipline here, there's just more that goes on here with the kids, the type of population that we have.
Okay. Makes sense.
Question, next one. Do you feel students behave well? In general, pretty average, I guess, maybe. I think a lot of it depends on, what their home life's like. I think they bring that to school, so I would say that we have a population where we have a large population of kids that don't have a great home life. So they bring that to school, so it's something I have to think about all the time.
Okay.
It says, do you think teachers have the classroom management skills to prevent discipline problems? I don't think there's enough training on it. I think you have to naturally have certain abilities to discipline kids, and maybe half the teachers have that. But I think it's possible you can get trained to do that, but some teachers just don't know, how to handle it to prevent discipline problems. Says, do you believe the administration handles discipline well? I do, with the keeping in mind that I don't think we have enough administrators to handle all the discipline problems that we have. I think they're overworked. But handling the most important ones, I think they do well with that. And then I think that there's so many of them, they have to kind of manage that, Next, anything else on that?
No, that's fine. That's good.
And number 6 says, are the students safe on campus? I don't think they're safe enough. I do think that the teachers and support staff here are doing their job and keeping the kids safe, but I don't think there's enough. I don't even think if you can be too safe or safe enough, so I think that we do need more safety at schools.
Okay. So like more security guards or
Yeah.
actual officers?
Yeah, officers, I've heard a bunch of different things, even some great ideas like having veterans out of work come and help with that kind of stuff and paying them and things like that. I think it's a great idea. I just think somebody's got to put all that into action and care about it. So. Number 7, have you ever felt threatened? Is that for here at this school?
On campus, yeah.
in a way, and it's mainly if I've disciplined a student and that student is known to be violent and the student's mad and has a look of aggression or something like that, I do feel threatened there, but other than that, no. Give your thoughts on the tardy policy. Does it affect discipline positively or negatively? I think that the tardy policy at the beginning of the year that we put in place solved tardy problems for sure, and I think it was a good idea. And I think it's positive, but I think that every single teacher, every single administrator has to be on board with it the whole way through the school year for it to work correctly. I'm not sure if that's really taken place yet. You know, it's pretty, because I run a tardy station outside and write tardy passes, but I see teachers not follow the policy, so that's what makes it not work. Number 9, give your thoughts on the lunch hour. Does it affect discipline positively or negatively? Do we mean the length of time?
Yeah, because supposedly, you give kids that break and they get to refocus and they're more attentive in class throughout the next half of the day. So how do you feel about it?
I agree that the kids do need that break. If we expect them to be on task 100% of the time in class, and then getting to class during the passing periods, I do feel like they need that time to, and they need a lot of time to calm down from the classroom and to socialize a little bit.
Okay.
So I think it's important.
Would you think it worked better if we had a 30-minute lunch and then later in the day they had a separate 30 minutes?
Yes.
Or do it all together?
I think separating it would be a lot better.
Okay.
Especially towards the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because that's when things get really hectic and there's more discipline problems that happen during the last couple hours of the day. I think that would help a lot. And then number 10, any thoughts on discipline or safety that you want to share? I do think that part of the in-service at the beginning of the year should deal with like focus on certain discipline problems. I think we have kind of a problem with profanity that goes on in the hallways and stuff, and a lot of teachers overlook it maybe because we've never really addressed it. We know what the policy is. We don't allow that to happen, but I think consequences need to be agreed on and everything, and that I think teachers will feel more comfortable enforcing those rules. But that's just one example, but I think we can do a better job in discipline, better job in safety, but it takes the whole group of teachers and support staff to do it. So.
Okay.
Good.
Appreciate it.
Can you tell us your role on campus?
I coach, so I do athletics, and I'm also a workshop teacher. All right, rate the students' discipline on this campus compared to last year. We have a different group of kids. I teach freshmen. We have a different group of kids this year, but I would say that the behavior is trending in the right direction. Rate the students' discipline on campus compared to other campuses. Last campus I was at was in a very rural area, so the behavior problems are a little bit, they're different problems. Hey.
What's this apple? What's this apple?
Oh, your elbow is right here. Come on. All right. So, but I would say that the kids are kids. They still have the same issues, and it's up to educators to figure it out and help them deal with it. All right, do you feel students behave well? Yes, for the most part. Of course, you're gonna have some children that aren't there yet maturity-wise, might cause some issues, but again, for the most part, I feel like around campus that the students are okay. Look, you make interviews hard. All right, look, go get it. Go get it. All right, do you think teachers have classroom management skills to prevent discipline problems? Yes, most of them. Now, keep in mind, I'm in my own classroom most of the time, so I'm not in all the other teachers' classrooms, but when we do get to do walk-arounds and we get to do walkthroughs and see other teachers, I feel like 98% of the time they're doing really well. Do you believe administration handles discipline well? Yes, most of the time. I feel like some students, we can get a little lax on problems that occur over and over. But for the most part, I feel like administration is trying to handle discipline as best they can. Are the students safe on campus? Yes, I believe so. We have we go through our lockdown policies and fire drills, and we do all that stuff, so I feel like the students are safe and do have a plan for most situations that happen. Good job, buddy. All right, have you ever felt threatened? No, I have not ever felt threatened on campus.
Has there ever been a real threat on campus?
I don't think the threat was on campus, but we had that situation earlier this year where we went into lockdown a couple times just based on social media threats, and I felt like we didn't get the information we needed as quick as we needed it, but for the most part, it was handled well. People were in their classrooms, and the students were safe, I feel. All right, thoughts on the tardy policy? I feel like it can be tightened up for sure, but what we have going on right now, I feel like is a step in the right direction. Just seeing kids in the hallways hustling the class is something I hadn't seen in prior years. Yeah, you're almost as tall as him, huh? I hadn't seen it in prior years, so I feel like the tardy policy is trending in the right direction. All right, give your thoughts on our 50-minute lunch. Does it affect discipline positively or negatively? Now, the 50-minute lunch, I have mixed reviews. The kids that use it for what it's for going to some extra tutorials and going to catch up on stuff and getting a little extra work done, we have a population of kids that uses it properly, and it's great for them, but we also have a population of kids that skips class a third, fourth, and fifth as much as they can, and they don't get anything accomplished during lunch. And I think it affects them negatively because they wander the halls, and if you ask them where they're at, they say, oh, I'm in lunch. And I mean, it's not like I have their schedule, so I can't really argue with them. But it has its pros and its cons. Any thoughts on discipline or safety that you want to share? Safety-wise, I just feel like lockdown drill, we should have something in place where maybe the teacher, you send out a remind one-on-one, everybody's on it, but so we know what's going on, so we can assure kids of what's going on instead of the kids getting everything from Twitter and they're getting it from each other, right? Which is not always the most reliable information. Any thoughts on discipline? Just being consistent and like staying. I have some kids that get tardies and they go to lunch detention. Then I have other kids that have 20 tardies, and yeah, they assign lunch detention, but I never go. So they continue to get tardies because nothing's really being done to them. So just make sure we stay consistent on discipline and making sure that everybody has some consequences for their behavior. And that's the list.
Qualitative data, we've come up with 5 for sure things that we're going to take away with this. One being discipline is definitely trending in the right direction. Seems to be getting better. Everyone believes it's getting better. So as long as we continue to gather data and update policy, it should continue to trend in the positive direction. There's a sense that administration handles discipline well, which is good. It's great to have the support of your students and staff. 3, students definitely feel safe on campus, though they would like to see more security or more officers. They definitely feel safe. Teachers feel safe and believe that students are safe, which is definitely good when you want to make your campus feel like a home for so many people. The tardy policy needs an update. A couple of the students mentioned having to go to the front of the school to get a tardy pass when that makes you actually miss more of class, between 5 and 15 minutes, depending on how far you got to travel and how long the line is. 5, classroom management for professional development needs to be ongoing just to help with discipline. There's no wrong with continuing to grow in that aspect, to make your school better, to make your teaching better. This assignment definitely highlighted more than one competency. Continuing to prove and to study yourself as a campus is definitely one of the most important things you can do. Not becoming complacent with where things are and continue to strive to become better is a requirement of all campuses, despite the level. For sure, Competency 2 addresses some of the things we talked about in the video with collabing with the school community. We interviewed students, staff, parents, community members, administration, everyone involved in these decision making and who will be affected by them. We definitely want the students' input on how they feel about teachers, how they feel about their safety, and how they feel about discipline and their administrator's role in that. To get that insight is coming a long way to learning how to develop relationships with the students and their voice being heard on campus. It's honestly the most important voice. As long as we're serving them and serving education, we got to continue to listen to them, their parents, the community members, and our teachers when developing policy and developing information that's going to help run our school. Also, this data allows you to mobilize resource in the correct direction. You can take all the data in the world, but if you don't then use it to put resources where they belong, then you're not doing it any benefit. And we definitely will continue to allocate resources to where they're needed based on the data we've gathered. Competency number 9, and it's a requirement of a safe environment and learning how to keep the environment safe is definitely a focus in this video. Student safety, teacher safety, community safety is one of the things we spoke about and interviewed the children about how they felt in our building, because we wanted to feel like home. We want them to know it's home. We want them to know it's a safe haven. We want them to know that they're protected, period. We want parents to feel like that this is a place where they can come and know their child will be okay from 9:05 to 4:20. And know this is a place they can come outside of those hours with their school organizations and continue to be safe. We want this to be a place where they know they can travel with these students, organizations, or athletic groups and know that they'll be safe out of town at competition or whatever is going on. Number 6, allocating appropriate staff development. Definitely heard a lot in this assignment that, some teachers do have good classroom management, some teachers don't. Well, you definitely, the answer you want to hear to that question is these teachers are great and they run their classroom how they're supposed to. So if that isn't 100%, we know we still have work to do. So definitely we'll continue to add professional development in classroom management and how to handle discipline. Also, just continuing to develop systems to improve performance. And with active research, with data, constantly reviewing and reflecting upon your work and yourself at all levels of education, not just the administration levels, teachers and PLCs, to be determining how that unit went with student data. How did you teach this lesson? Those type of things should be going on constantly. And competency number 7, problem solving skills. Like I mentioned earlier, when you gather this data, what do? If you're not an effective problem solver, then you won't figure out what to do. You have to create committees, you have to create groups, you have to create leadership teams, and they have to be able to collaborate with ideas on multiple levels to then decide, well, what do we do as an administrative staff with this information? Are these ideas good ideas? Will they work on our campus for our students? Will they work in our community? These are all things that definitely need to be addressed as a staff and addressed constantly when dealing with students because they're growing. It's our job to provide an opportunity and an environment where it's safe for them to grow and they feel like they can grow and share ideas as well as become more mature and develop as they travel through life or whatever they would like to do after high school.